Hello, hello, Puppy and Coaching family. Welcome to our call this evening. Just make sure we are live and where we need to be. Let's see. Okay, perfect. So, welcome to tonight's class, Developing Discipline. So, last week we talked about disciplining your disappointments, which is incredibly powerful, incredibly necessary. But how are we developing this discipline? And we touched on that a little bit last week, but I want to really dive into how are we disciplining those disappointments, but how do we even get to the discipline phase, right? So first, what do we need to develop discipline in, right? The what we eat, what we think, and what we do, those three pillars that we speak so much about is the key to developing that discipline. Okay, so once we develop the discipline in the what we eat, what we think, and what we do, then we can discipline our disappointment. So you see, we're kind of reverse engineering here. And I think it's important that we really focus on how are we getting to the point where we have the discipline necessary to fight through the days with no motivation, the days where maybe we seem to be falling out of routine or habit because we have all of these changes coming up, right? We've got graduations, we've got all these different events happening, summer travel, all of these things, right? So, how do we create that discipline throughout to be able to maintain and be able to discipline our disappointments? Okay, so what we eat, what we think, what we do, we've got that 7-step signature system. So, the opt in, the education, accountability, tracking, behavior modification, that's how we develop the discipline. Celebrate all of your wins and then give back. So, really talking about behavior modification when we talk about creating discipline. Okay, you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do. But in order to create the discipline, you have to have that education piece, right? Because you have to know what to do. And so many times I hear people say, I know what to do, I just don't do it. But then I also hear, man, I just don't know where to start. And so when you think in terms of creating discipline, if we're creating discipline around the wrong things, because we don't have the education, when we know better, we do better. If we don't have the education to do better, then we may be creating discipline around the wrong things. And so what do we have to create discipline around? What we eat, what we think, what we do. So what's the what we eat? That's the formula, right? 20 to 30 grams of protein every single time you eat something. So your first discipline needs to be, where is my 20 to 30 grams of protein coming from when I'm deciding what I'm going to eat at this particular meal? Okay, so I'm going to give you one discipline in each category: what we eat, what we think, and what we do. And then we can build out around that and start to habit stack. When we talk about atomic habits, we talk about habit stacking, right? So you can go back and listen to those classes on habits as well. But the very first discipline you need to create around the what we eat is 20 to 30 grams of protein every single time you eat something. Okay, so your goal should be to figure out, where is that coming from? What is my source of protein for this meal? And then build out around that. And guess what? That time you eat may only be protein, right? It could be that you're only eating protein at that particular meal, and that's fine. Okay, so that's the first part of the formula for a reason, because that's the most important part. The protein allows you to build that muscle. And when we increase our skeletal muscle, remember, you get all the other benefits of decreased inflammation, all of that good stuff. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's the discipline around what we eat. So what you have to do in order to create that discipline is, your very first thought needs to be, where is the 20 to 30 grams of protein coming from? So I'll give you an example. I was on vacation this last week. You can probably tell I got a little bit of sun, but every single time I ate, it was like, okay, where's my source of protein coming from? And I wasn't perfect on vacation. I didn't eat 20 to 30 grams of protein every single time, but I still had some source of protein at every single meal because I have disciplined myself to understand I've got to know where that protein is coming from. Okay, so that's step one. All right, step two, when we talk about what we eat, what we think. Okay, you've got to discipline yourself to tipping the scale to the positive. Because if we are constantly living in the negative, then we're going to make poor choices. Okay, so whether that is, and it only has to be that 51% positive thought to really start to change the narrative. Okay, so you have to tip the scale. We've talked about that when we talk about The Secret and The Power, right? So those are two books by Rhonda Byrne that really kind of dive into how to tip that scale towards the positive. Because when we're able to tip the scale towards the positive, everything else just kind of starts to come easy. So one of the ways we can do that, if you find yourself getting into that negative headspace, the discipline should automatically be figure out a way to get yourself stop the negative wavelength, right? And reshift into a more positive wavelength. That doesn't mean it's the highest vibration of positivity, right? Because it's unrealistic to think when you're sitting here in a negative headspace that you're just going to flip a switch and go all the way to the positive, right? So one way to do that is with the wouldn't it be nice if game. And we've talked a lot about that throughout the classes. So it makes things not as intimidating, right? It takes it to where it's kind of the analogy of how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I don't know if analogy is the right word for that, but it's that thought process of we're just slowly getting ourselves back into the positive. So the wouldn't it be nice if I felt much better? Wouldn't it be nice if I woke up pain-free? Wouldn't it be nice if I had all the money I needed and more? Wouldn't it be nice if I was able to contribute financially? Wouldn't it be nice if I made the choices that moved me toward my goals? So you see how it becomes a little less way off the wall and it allows your subconscious to start agreeing with you. So you get to that, the wouldn't it be nice if, and you don't feel so bad anymore, right? Wouldn't it be nice if I had $1 million? What would I do with that $1 million? Wouldn't it be nice if I was able to easily lose the weight and maintain? Wouldn't it be nice if? So you see how that works. Okay. So that's a way that you can create the discipline around the what you think. Anytime you start to feel where you're moving into that negative headspace, you're shifting to the either wouldn't it be nice if game, or you can shift to 3 things you're grateful for, whatever works best for you, right? Try out the couple different things and see what works best. All right. So that's the what we eat, the what we think. Now the discipline around what we do. And this, I believe, is the hardest discipline to create because this is where the behavior modification completely comes in, because you can sit there around the what you eat and plan for your 20 to 30 grams of protein. But now it's the do time. It's the go time, right? What we do is actually what gets us the results that we're looking for. And so we have to create the discipline around what we do. So we've got the discipline around, hey, I'm planning for 20 to 30 grams of protein every single time I eat. I'm planning the discipline of playing the wouldn't it be nice if game or the gratitude game, whatever. I'm creating the discipline there. But now it's the implementation, the do. What we eat, what we think, what we do. It's the action part of the decide, commit, act, succeed. Okay, so it's the action. So when you're creating discipline around the what you do, the first step is you have to actually do something. And that is very difficult for a lot of people. And that's not what a lot of people want to hear, but there's no sugarcoating it, right? You have to do something. You have to make the decision to actually take action. Okay. So you have to complete your workout. You have to eat what you planned out. You have to implement the games to create a better mindset, right? You have to do it. And so the first way that you can really start to create some momentum there is schedule it into your calendar. Schedule the action into your calendar. Maybe you need to meal prep. Maybe you need to get to the gym. Maybe you need to make sure that your workouts are getting done, whatever it looks like. Okay. So you have to create the discipline around that. So an easy way to do that is to put it in your calendar. And because then it becomes a non negotiable. I know I live and breathe by what's in my calendar. So if something's in my calendar, it's like, I've got to do it, or on your to do list, however you get things done. Okay. So that's first and foremost, but you have to actually take action. And when we're taking those actions, that's where the behavior modification comes in. And that's where we start to really create the discipline. And those disciplines become habits. And then once they're a habit, that's how, again, we are disciplining our disappointments. Something didn't go the right way or the way that we wanted to. We didn't reach a goal by the time we wanted to. Okay, great. Let's refocus, take the disciplines I've created and see, what do I need to do more of? What do I need to tweak a little bit? Or maybe it's just going to simply take a little bit more time than I wanted it to. And we have to be okay with that. That's disciplining our disappointments. But the discipline comes in because you have built those rock solid, healthy habits. And we've let go of the things that aren't serving us. Okay, so what is it that's not serving you? Is it binging too much TV? Is it binging on fried foods or sweets? Is it nighttime snacking? What is it that is the discipline that you currently have that is not serving you? And what do you need to get rid of? And again, you have to just decide to take the action to do it. There's no other way. That's the opt in portion of it. You have to decide to take action. But once you decide to take action one day, the next day, we can remember how we felt and we can script about it. And we can say, hey, I felt a lot better mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever it looks like for you, right? And we remember how we felt and we're able to cash in on that momentum and say, hey, you know what? It felt really great after I finished my workout yesterday. I don't want to skip it. That's what keeps me going on the days I don't want to work out. Okay, how am I going to feel if I don't do it versus how am I going to feel if I do it? And I know how I'm going to feel if I don't do it versus if I do, because these are actions that I've taken in the past. And so I'm able to tell myself, hey, I don't want to skip today because I don't want to feel bad later on in the day. And I know that if I don't get a morning workout in, my energy levels are low. I ache. I just don't feel right towards the end of the day, and I'm not able to go as long. Right. And so if I know I have a long day coming up, it's important to me to make sure I get some sort of movement in the morning, whatever that looks like, because I know I'm going to need the energy and the blood flow and all of that. But again, I've created that discipline, and I remember how I feel when I don't do it. And I know that if I'm not doing it, I know how I'm going to feel at 8:00 at night. I'm going to be ready to go to bed. I'm going to be sore. I'm going to be tired. And I'm just not going to have the energy to do it. And I know that. okay, because I track. All of these are part of the 7-step signature system, right? I've educated myself on the habits I need to create. I've opted in. I've gotten the results. I've celebrated when I've gotten the results. And I've tracked so I know how I feel when I do versus when I don't. Okay. And that's where we have to, those disciplines come in with building in the delay of gratification. That delay of gratification is so important. And that's where it's so important to celebrate your wins and give attention to the things that went right that day, because you may not see the results right away. Okay. It may take a week, 2 weeks, a month to start seeing the results you want to see. But in the meantime, you're going to slowly start to feel better. Okay. I know for me, if I eat clean for a couple days in a row, I feel great, right? I don't feel tired and low energy, right? So I know that things are changing and I have to hold on to that. I was just sharing with someone earlier today. It's my natural response when somebody says, "Do you want pizza?" is I don't really care for pizza. And the question I get a lot of time is, "What? You don't like pizza?" And it's like, I think about it, I'm like, "Well, do I like the taste?" Absolutely. But I don't like the way I feel after I eat it. And so I've conditioned my subconscious to just create the response of, I don't really care for pizza. And so do I still eat pizza from time to time? Yes, because I do like it, but it's not an every week occurrence because I don't like the way I feel after I eat it. And when I do eat it, I don't eat a ton of it because, again, I don't like the way I feel after I eat it. And I make sure that I've done a workout or I've done something, right? And I drink water with it because I want to make sure I feel okay. And so these are disciplines I've created over the years, right? Because before I started Health Accelerator, right, I ate pizza at least once a week with my roommate. We had pizza night. That's not a thing that I do anymore because, again, I've conditioned my subconscious. And there are times I'll think, man, I don't really want to cook. It'd be nice to order a pizza. And then it's like, no, I'm good. I don't really want it. I don't want to feel the way that I'm going to feel if I do eat it. Okay. So these are the disciplines that are created over time. And that's where you have to get, right? The only way to create a discipline over time is to take action. All right. So our call to action for this week, right? Our exercise is I want you to determine what are 2 to 3 things you are going to take action on this week. You can do one in the what we eat, what we think, and what we do, or you can do whatever you know is going to move you towards your goal. Okay. So that is your action item for the week. Okay. What is 2 to 3 things you are taking action on this week that you are going to implement and you are going to make yourself do? You're going to schedule it in your calendar or schedule it on your to-do list, whichever you do, right? But what do you do? Do you create appointments in your calendar? Do you write down what you have to do the night before? What is it that you do and work in those 2 to 3 things and start to live by that schedule? But again, you have to opt in. You have to decide. So what is it that you are going to take this week and implement? What are you doing? What disciplines are you creating this week? And I know we talked about that last week as well. And so now it's time to build. All right. So what is it that you are doing this week? All right. Mine, I took my workouts had kind of slacked off a little bit. I was still doing it, but not as intense and not as often, still 5 times a week, but not the 5 to 7 times a week that I'm used to. So that slacked off. So I took the time on vacation to reset that expectation for myself, right? So it was, I did something every day on vacation. And so I'm going to continue that from here forward, getting back into that routine. But I've had to change my routine up, right? My schedule has changed a lot. And so it's just finding that new rhythm. I'm creating new disciplines, right? To factor in with what it all looks like. All right. So, what are the 2 to 3 things? You can drop them in the comments. You can text them to me. What are those 2 to 3 things that you are implementing this week that are going to create new disciplines that are going to help move you forward towards your goals? All right. So, I will see you all back here next Sunday, 7 p.m., same time, same place. And until then, I will see you on text message. And I am wishing you all a super successful week in creating those disciplines, creating those new habits, and lots of success moving forward. So I will see you all back here 7 p.m. next Sunday. And until then, I'll see you on text message. All right. Bye, everyone.